Eyes fluttering open, the familiar room greeted me alongside the curious eyes of Nathan and Tristan, their expressions demanding an explanation. Confusion lingered in the air, pushing me to state the reason behind my fainting. "Why are you both staring at me like that?" I inquired as I rested my head against my bed frame. "What happened to you while you were with Harold?" Tristan's voice held concern as he raised the question. "Did he do something to you?" Nathan's deep voice echoed with a hint of annoyance, his face etched with seriousness. Shaking my head rapidly to dispel their doubts, I replied, "No, not at all. He would never harm me." Tristan rolled his eyes and cussed under his breath before uttering the audible words, "You are always so quick to defend him. For all we know, he must have threatened you not to say a word to us or wiped your memories of the event that happened." Meanwhile, Nathan remained silent with a stern look on his face, unconvinced by the words I had spoken. If I didn't prove his innocence, Nathan might actually do something that we would all regret except for him. "Listen, you have to trust me when I tell you this. Harold is not the problem here. Something else caused the blackout," I tried to assure them. Nathan crossed his arms, a frown deepening on his brow. "Then what could it be? You were perfectly fine before. All my energy was sucked out when I paused, not wanting to spill the rest of the details because they would only misunderstand my statement. Nathan's narrowed eyes pierced mine, commanding me with clenched teeth, "Finish it." "Yes, Lexi, we would love to hear the rest of the story. He was using your powers for his selfish deeds, wasn't he? And as usual, your stupid feelings for him didn't let you notice. At this point, I would say you're really colorblind to not see his red flags." Tristan's bitterness lashed out. His words were sharp and unforgiving. "That's not what happened. Don't assume without hearing the whole story. Harold's intentions were pure. I was only exhausted." I pleaded, trying to defend him, but my words only charged their anger. Nathan's jaw tightened, and his growing claws betrayed his rage, tearing at the fabric of my sheets. He spat his words with suppressed fury. "Only, you passed out. What if it had gotten worse? She wouldn't care as long as her precious Harold is safe and alive." The classic laying her life down for a man as always. Tristan chimed in, his voice dripping with sarcasm and disdain, intensifying the tensed atmosphere in the room. At this point, it was clear that there was nothing I could tell them that would change their hearts towards Harold. I really did not want to believe that this was hatred on their end. "What for?" His face twisted into scorn, displaying the depths of his jealousy. "Remove him from her life, and watch as she struggles to even catch a breath," he added. I retorted, blocking my ears with my palms and squeezing my eyes shut as I could no longer condone their nonsense accusations. "That's enough. We just went to my PAX archive to get some files, hoping that it would finally resolve the issue." Tristan turned the tables around. "So he's teaching you how to steal now? You went back to that territory knowing fully well that you would be dead meat if caught lurking around by the Alpha King. Do you have any brain at all up there?" Nathan confronted. "I doubt. Sometimes I wish you could just step out of your body to see the silly decisions that you keep making. Harold is an alpha and you are just." I interrupted Tristan with a frown. "An omega. Yes, I know that, and he can protect me. Why are you both making a fuss out of nothing? The most important thing is that I'm back here." I tried to put an end to the discussion, but they were relentless. "Oh, shut up," Nathan snapped at me. Tackling a mentally deranged lichen was much easier than handling these two, and nobody would ever be able to understand my plight in this issue. I was even more puzzled that Harold himself wasn't even present in the room, as if he had intentionally caused chaos and ran off to God knows where. And where the heck is he? He has a lot of explaining to do. Nathan threw a general question in the air for either of us to answer. It became a case of speak of the devil and he shall appear. As he entered the room with a clueless expression, "Babe, you are awake." "Thanka Euro." Nathan instantly walked over to him while Tristan stayed back on the bed. "Babe, her name is Alexia. You should use the right words and don't get on my damn nerves." He yelled at him. My heart was already pounding hard in my chest as the thought of this turning into a fight crossed my mind. "What's up with you, man? She doesn't seem to have a problem with the name, so why should you interfere? Are you her dad or something?" His chilled composure made me bite my finger in panic. I silently prayed to the goddess to calm Nathan's temper. "You are saying the wrong prayer to her. It should be." Harold shouldn't react to this, Blair corrected me. People who were slow to anger had to be feared, and he was a living example. I'm her mate, Nathan asserted, and so am I. You can address her with a nickname, I won't object, Harold responded calmly. The one who marks her first holds the authority to give orders to back off, he pointed out. Tristan cleared his throat to signify that he was still in the room. Actually, it would be the one whom she chooses, Harold scoffed. So, what difference does it make to what I just said? Isn't it obvious who she wants the most between us? Or do you want me to prove it further before you step out of your denial phase? His words were a clear attempt to belittle Tristan. Tristan burst into a laugh of mockery before eyeing me with irritation and then darting to Harold. It's not your fault, man. I blame this friend of mine who chose to be your dummy. Not like we can't save her. She doesn't want to be saved. Don't call her names, Harold warned him as a different color flashed in his eyes. Or else what? She's mine as well, so I can refer to her however I like. At least I'm being clean about it. Unless someone can't stand his reflection in the mirror, knowing that his life is filled with deception. Now, he was crossing the line into a separate topic that I had no absolute knowledge about. What are you talking about, Tristan? I inquired with a meek tone. Stay mute. This is between the three of us now. He dismissed me, refusing to even spare me a glance. And if I don't? I dared him to do his worst. Our eyes locked, and he replied with a sinister glint in them. I know exactly how to handle you, Lexi, and you are well aware of that. My breath caught in my throat, and I lowered my head, unable to find a response to his threats. What game are you trying to play right now? Harold questioned him as Tristan stood up to face him. Do you want me to spell it out for her? I wouldn't want to ruin the relationship that you have been struggling to build. You can enjoy the fun for now since she is still delusional, but you had better not hurt her. Tristan kept speaking in code. What the fuck are you talking about, man? He needs to stay the hell away from her. He keeps causing unnecessary troubles for her, and you claim to love her? Bloody lies, Nathan stated. Goddess really saw me struggling with my life and sent these three to finish me off for good because how was I going to keep coping with this? What troubles, if I may ask? For as long as I can remember, I have kept my distance from her. Not once or twice, but she keeps running back to me. Clearly, she can't deal with your toxic bullshit. Harold finally raised his voice, and I flinched, covering myself with my duvet. Harold finally raised his voice, and I flinched, covering myself with my duvet. Is it the part that she doesn't want either of you or my presence to be intimidating? Nathan, your grip on her is suffocating, and if she ever becomes your Luna, which the goddess would never allow, you will turn her into your royal slave. And as for you, Tristan, we all know the number of whores you would have after her since you are so insatiable, he concluded. This was going to be a very long argument, and I was caught up in it. Is that what you say to yourself to make you sleep better at night? Unbelievable, Nathan exclaimed. They are actually a perfect match. He thinks he's the best man for the job, and she believes that he's going to stay with her for a long time, Tristan added casually. A realization that Nathan and Tristan were on the same side and Harold was being targeted suddenly came to me. I had to speak up. Nate and Tristan, please leave. And what makes you think you can kick us out? The audacity. It's disgusting, I know, but use the damn door, I retorted, speaking in a language that he would understand, my face unmoving and in a flat tone. Tristan tugged at his arm, urging him to leave. Let's go, man. They might as well have their honeymoon in here. Nathan didn't push any further and made his way towards the door. But Tristan couldn't resist, delivering one final blow. Post-nut clarity is real, Lexi. He'll be gone in the blink of an eye, leaving you without a broad shoulder to lean on. After their departure, I let out a breath that I had been holding in, and Harold stared at me with pity in his eyes. Reaching out to hold my hand in his to offer comfort, he said, I'm sorry that you had to witness all of that. I understand they can be jerks sometimes. Sometimes? He lifted his brow in disbelief. Always, I mumbled. You should practice controlling your powers, baby. I don't want to see you faint ever again. You've got me scared, babe, he suggested. Unlike the others, his touch was a healing balm to my troubled soul. If only they knew that. However, I noticed something strange. This time, I couldn't feel his emotions. Without hesitation, I sought answers from Blair because she was the only one who could tell me what's happening. Why did I lose one of my abilities? Unfortunately, she was in the same state as my dilemma, as she failed to provide a reason. I don't know, Lexi. Training to master my abilities was actually tough, but Harold was always there by my side. I couldn't have asked for a better guide because he helped me with every step of the tasks, making sure that I never gave up midway. His mere belief in my potential meant the world to me, unlike the others, who seem to care less nowadays. Lately, my relationship with them has been rough. Nathan gave me the silent treatment, and Tristan would throw temper tantrums, which startled me. I had to give them a bit of distance so I could focus on the one who chose to act right. But it seemed to make things worse as they transferred all their aggression to Harold. But luckily, he was mature enough to ignore them. Otherwise, the dormitory would have been so unbearable for me. Even though I missed a part of Nathan's overprotectiveness and Tristan's playful nature, I realized that I wouldn't be able to improve my abilities without sane mental health. I just had to choose myself. As we were in the middle of the training, Harold's phone rang, and he stared down with a serious look on his face. I didn't need anyone to inform me that it had something to do with his pack. "I have to take this, babe," he announced. "My pack needs me right now, so I'll be gone for a few hours," he added. "Take care of yourself, and if you need anything, just call me." He said this, leaning to kiss my forehead. "Sure I will. Drive safely," I replied, letting him go. With Harold missing in our midst, I was left with the duo, who exchanged icy glances to prove that they were still pissed. Of course, they were waiting for me to go on my knees and worship them since they were used to such treatment from their whores, but I wasn't the type to do that anymore. I wonder who will save her if a monster were to invade the academy right now. Tristan began, leaning against the wall to taunt me. Definitely not her man. He would never choose her over his pack. Nathan replied in a flat tone. I rolled my eyes and scoffed, making my way to the exit as I wasn't in the mood to entertain their nonsense. Entering the room, I let out a sigh of relief and stripped myself naked, wrapping a towel around my body so I could have a nice, soothing shower. Just as I approached the door, Tristan rushed into the room, pushing me aside with his shoulders to go in before me. Immediately, I froze in shock, utterly stunned, as he locked the door behind him. I squeezed my eyes shut and clenched my jaw, trying to contain my frustration as I was at a loss for words to yell at him for his childish behavior. "Another point deducted from Tristan's score because he's too petty," Blair remarked. "His childishness is also caused by being a mummy's boy. He always finds a way to make me speechless," I retorted. "They all do," she replied. I heaved a sigh and placed both hands on my head to rub my temples when I heard a chuckle from behind. I inquired without turning around to face Nathan because I had already jumped to the conclusion that he chose to mock me. "You think this is funny?" I didn't get a response at all and twirled to see him on the phone. It wasn't an official call. If it weren't, he wouldn't be smirking or chuckling like a man playing games with a woman's heart. Not that it was my business, but the feminine voice sounded so familiar that I just had to find out. I marched to his bed and grabbed his phone to confirm the caller ID. As soon as my guess happened to be correct, I ended the call abruptly. "What the fuck was that for?" Nathan yelled at me, trying to seize the phone, but I backed away. My grip on it tightened as I kept staring down at the love emojis that followed her name. "Why are you still in contact with her?" Tilting his head to the side and mirroring my glare, he said, "Are you now like my mom or something?" He fired. "Answer the question, Nathan. I'm not playing with you right now. Why the hell are you still talking with Jessie?" I shouted. She has been a thorn in my flesh, the first person to make my life miserable in the academy, and yet he didn't have the decency to cut her off permanently. Besides, she has a mate. Why can't she focus on him unless Zayden has already shown her how much of a jerk he can be? Or they probably rejected each other. Blair stated. "I don't even care about that. It's her business," I retorted. "Can you chill out? This is my life, and I can decide who I want to be," he responded. I narrowed my eyes at him and said, "It still doesn't answer the question, Nathan. Is English now hard for your brain to comprehend? Or do you want me to repeat myself slowly?" His brows furrowed, and he chuckled softly, as if to undermine how crazy I could get. "What's all of this for? You were the one who had been ignoring us and clinging to Harold." I was aware that they were bitter about my relationship, but I didn't expect him to go this far with his revenge. "Is that why you chose to be with her?" I repeated. Just then, Tristan came out of the bathroom and casually asked, Chose to be with who? Tristan, you won't believe what just happened. I began. Nathan and Jesse got back together. How can you be so selfish? I returned to Nathan. Selfish? You're the one to talk, Nathan muttered under his breath. I heard that. I pointed it out. To my surprise, Tristan's reaction threw me off balance. Instead of joining me in my disappointment and scolding Nathan for returning to his vomit, he showed his support for their relationship. That's great news, he exclaimed, his voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. I'm happy for Nate. It's about time they work things out. Did my feelings ever matter to them? I doubt. There's nothing great about the news, Tristan. This is Jessie we are talking about here. Has she hired a witch to wipe your memory or something? Are you jealous? This question made me scoff. Jealous, that's the last thing I would ever feel concerning a toxic relationship. Tristan eyed him and burst into laughter, which Nathan joined. I really need you and your boyfriend to stand in front of a magic mirror so you can truly see who the real ambassadors of toxicity are. Don't bring him into this. This concerns Jessie, I warned him. This is not even about Nathan and Jessie getting back together. I paused. It's the fact that she called people to rape me, and now you all want to stand by her? I couldn't even imagine seeing her again in this room. I just wanted her to be as far away from me as possible, but that wouldn't work now. Tristan's eyes widened in shock, and then he nodded his head. I had hoped that he would finally realize how bad the situation was, but he ended up shifting the blame on me. Don't you think you are exaggerating this whole thing? What do you mean? I inquired, feeling as if he was about to make an offensive statement. Why is it that men all over the world want you? I get that you are pretty and all that, but bro, you need to stop acting like a queen bee. You haven't been accepted by your alpha mate till now, he retorted. If it's actually true, you have to show me proof. My heart sank over his disbelief and dismissal of my experience. The pain and trauma that I had suffered because of them still remained fresh in my mind. All I wanted was a bit of empathy, not doubt. Do you always have to make it seem like I'm a liar? I don't even need to prove anything to you. The scars that I got from being beaten by Zayden and his goons are enough, and if you choose to remain blind, then it's not my fault. I spat. Their silence was like salt to my wounds, knowing that they had locked me out of their hearts for good. In a bitter tone, Nathan finally spoke up, his voice laced with anger. You know what, Alexia? Just stay out of our lives from now on. You made your decision to pick Harold as your mate, and we respected that. The least you can do for us is keep your drama and constant accusations away from us, he added. Yeah, we need the peace as much as you do, Tristan chimed in. Whenever he's not around, that's when you suddenly realize that we exist. I won't be entertaining such bullshit anymore, he deadpanned. And never will it be in the history of my bloodline that I was a third option for an Omega who has already been rejected by her first mate. Nathan's words hit me like a dagger to my chest, ripping me apart. My eyes were hot with tears, but I held them back from spilling. How can you say that? My voice came off as shaky. Oh, here she goes again with the pity party. What now? Are you going to report us to your little boyfriend that we hurt you when he gets back? Tristan chose sarcasm as his weapon against me. Oh, I'm so scared. Nate, please save me. He mimicked a tiny voice before they chuckled bitterly. Without a word in response, I turned around and ran out of the room to find solace so I could cry my heart out. Their words constantly echoed in my head until I got to the rooftop and dropped to the floor, letting the tears flow freely. Don't let the betrayal consume you. Blair offered a bit of support. Her words made me realize that I shouldn't waste my time on those two bastards anymore. They didn't trust me, but that didn't define who I am. I deserve better than their toxic behavior. Even though I could still feel the bond between us, it was fading away. So, I decided to give them what they wanted my absence. From now on, I will focus on my training and Harold. Nothing else would distract me. My heart still ached from the painful breakup I had with them. Their words relentlessly replayed in my head, refusing to let me find solace or peace. If I were given the opportunity to erase my memory, I would seize without a second thought, removing every trace of Nathan and Tristan from my brain and heart, if possible. Unfortunately, my moment of silence was disrupted by the sound of footsteps approaching from behind. causing me to quickly wipe away the evidence of my sadness with the back of my palm. Putting on a normal face, I turned around to see who it was, forcing a fake smile to mask the torment within. To my relief, it was Harold who had returned. His presence alone brought me comfort, and all I needed was a bear hug and reassurance that he would never break me against me. He stared at me with concern etched in his eyes, as if he could sense the pain I was trying so hard to hide. He asked, "What happened, babe?" His voice filled with genuine worry. "You seem upset. Is everything okay?" We were just starting to rebuild our relationship again, and I couldn't afford to tell him that those jerks were the reason behind my tears. I wouldn't want him to get the wrong ideas of the issue. Definitely. He would be disappointed and even act weird, so it was best to stay quiet about it. My wolf was the only person that I could share such problems with. She won't judge me. Besides, if Harold wasn't my mate, I still wouldn't want to burden him with my own problems. Venting out was never my favorite thing to do, as it might come off as always complaining or negative energy. "It's nothing," I replied, mustering a weak smile. "Just had a rough day, I'll be fine." He studied my face for a moment, his gaze searching for any signs of deception. "Are you sure? Your eyes are red and puffy, babe?" he pointed out, not yet convinced. I had to come up with another lie. "Yeah, I actually remembered a childhood memory. I didn't even realize when tears spilled." I finished with a light chuckle. "Oh," he exclaimed, seemingly satisfied by my explanation. "Can I do anything to make you feel better?" he asked, wanting to lighten my mood. "Do you want ice cream or a warm, cozy drive around the woods? A swim or a run?" His offer sincerely warmed my heart. It was the little things that actually mattered to me, things that many failed to realize, but he understood. A genuine smile finally graced my lips. "Actually, a drive around the woods sounds perfect. Just being with you is enough to make me feel better." He mirrored my smile, relief evident in his eyes as he sighed. Reaching out, he gently grazed his thumb against my cheeks. "All right then, princess. Let's go on that drive and leave the worries behind, if only for a little while, okay? We can get ice cream on our way back." He spoke with such tenderness that I nearly forgot my problems. Before we left for his car, I raised a question. "By the way, how did you know that I would be here? Also, you told me that you won't be done till 2 hours. He answered, "Yeah, about that. My beta managed to get the job before I got there, so there was little to no work left for me. When I got back, I checked the dormitory but couldn't find you there. So I figured out that you would be at your safe spot." He remembered the little details about me as well. Finally, we left the premises of the academy, and during the drive, I couldn't hold back what was eating me up. At least, the topic was one that wouldn't make the atmosphere awkward. He glanced at me and placed his hand on top of mine, rubbing the knuckles gently. "Spill it out. What are you talking about?" I asked, feigning oblivion. "Do you have to make me a mind reader? This is much deeper than what you claimed it was, babe. I want to know what the problem is so I can finally solve it and put a broad smile on my buttercup's face again," he added. I took in a deep breath, playing with the hem of my skirt. "Everything is moving so fast, and I'm afraid that it might crash. Remove those thoughts from your head. Nothing like that will ever happen," he assured me. "At least, not on my watch. Actually, I think it's time for me to go back to my pack. I don't mean to stay, but to find out the truth, no matter how difficult it may be," I replied. The last few days of training had allowed me to master my abilities on breaking the locks to the giant doors. The only one who could stop me was the goddess, and I doubt since she was on my side. "If you are certain that you can do this, which I know you will, then we can leave for your pack right away," he stated. "I won't let you do this alone." His words had already set my heart on fire, ready to melt when my wolf chimed in, planting another seed of doubt. "Can we trust him? Do you think he's actually following you to protect you, or he's using you as a tool to find out the truth about his parents' death?" Her question sent a chill down my spine, but I hoped that the answer would be the former. "If you don't trust him, then I do," I replied sharply and cut off the link. "What if you find out that your pack had a hand in their death?" he questioned me, his eyes yearning for an answer. I gulped my saliva and gathered my thoughts. If it turns that my pack was indeed responsible, then I won't turn a blind eye to the truth. I had no intention of protecting them or making up excuses for their foul behavior. Instead, I would burn the whole pack down to clear the guilt, I added in a serious tone. Gotta save them if they were responsible. Especially the way I was bullied around as if I was the lowest of the lows. Revenge was all I could think of, and Cassie was the first person on my list for me to deal with. His grip on the steering wheel tightened and he smirked, licking his lips. I like it when you get feisty. I flashed him the side eye and rolled my eyes, giggling. You can't be serious. Our drive was short as we got back to the academy, and the first thing that we did when we reached the door was to pack our bags, which caught the interest of our other roommates. They both approached us with curious expression, their eyes darting from the bags and back at us. The vacation is almost over. Tristan pointed out the obvious, as if to make us stupid. Nathan used his leg to kick him, as a warning to behave. What's up? Where are you guys going? Harold and I exchanged glances, as if we were waiting on who to respond first. All of a sudden, they cared now, or it was probably an act because remorse could never be in their dictionaries. Are you taking her on a little trip or something? Nathan asked further, his question directed at Harold with a friendly tone which baffled me since lately he had been hostile. Harold, however, remained unfazed by their sudden shift in behavior. The lovebirds are probably off to some secret getaway. He might have a big proposal planned. I could see through it that Tristan was fighting so hard not to be sarcastic. I trusted Harold not to spill any sensitive information to them, or else they might go out of their way to ruin our plans. Harold wore his signature nonchalant expression and answered, "Just a road trip, nothing too exciting." Tristan raised an eyebrow, clearly not buying his explanation. Really? You're not usually the type for such. What's the real story? He shrugged in response, feigning indifference. Well, people can change, can't they? Maybe. I just wanted to do something different for once. Nathan stepped closer, his eyes narrowed at Harold. Where are you taking her to? The beast of overprotectiveness couldn't contain himself either. Harold's calm demeanor waved slightly, but he quickly composed himself, which relieved me. Bro, it's none of your business. We have places to be, just leave it at that. We'll catch up with you later, okay? I chimed in, hoping to ease the tension. Nathan's gaze hardened, but he reluctantly backed off. Fine, have it your way. But don't come crying to us when things go wrong. Yeah. Good luck, lovebirds. You're going to need it, Tristan added before falling back. As Harold and I drove to the pack, the atmosphere in the car grew tense by the second. We knew that this mission was a crucial one, the only way to uncover the truth behind his death and whether my pack was fully involved. My head was spinning from the constant stream of strange thoughts, so I slouched back in the chair and took a big breath. My major concern remained: what if everything went wrong and my pack members discovered another way to connect this to me because of their contempt? Because I was aware of how he could act when he is not emotionally available, having to show my loyalty to him all over again would be a nightmare. Additionally, Zachary must remain completely unaware of this operation, since he would make sure that it fails miserably because of the animosity. Breaking the silence, I turned to Harold and aired my concerns, still in need of caution. Harold, we have to tread carefully with this plan. It's not going to be easy, he responded in a matter-of-fact tone. Yeah, babe, I know, we'll need to blend in and then lure them out. Perhaps I was simply being beaten up by fear, since I knew that my pack would never forgive me for the betrayal. But deep down, I also understood that I couldn't allow their contempt to dictate how I behaved. Their approval or disapproval shouldn't control how I pursue justice. Sensing my unease, Harold reached out and placed his hand on mine, trying to offer comfort. Take a deep breath and calm down a bit. How can I? We have one shot at this and €1. It will work, trust me, he finished off my statement. I also need you to trust yourself too, or else. He glanced at me with a shrug. He was right though, because this wasn't the time to be timid at all. I have earlier sent spies to watch their daily activities, so I know the best way to get them, he revealed. Also, the guards will be on high alert tonight, I pointed out. He nodded and then explained. I've arranged for a small group of rogues to stage a confrontation near the border. It should pull their attention away from the entrance. As we continued driving, our conversation shifted to the layout of the pack territory till we parked at a safe distance. We moved swiftly and silently while a distraction was already initiated. The sound of snarls and clashes got the attention of the guards, making it easier to reach our target. We need to take pictures and videos of everything here, I suggested. Yeah, if we can buy time. An idea crossed my mind for the perfect way to fulfill his request. Taking 2 steps back from him, I drew in a deep breath as I gathered my energy and then let out a high-pitched scream. It started as a low rumble, barely audible, but it grew louder as memories of pain and rejection flooded my mind, causing the ground beneath us to shake. I realized that my emotions were getting the better of me as the hurtful words, mocking laughter, and the cold indifference that I suffered from my parents and pack members to the Alpha King and then the trio. I had tried so hard to bury those memories, to move on and believe in love again. But in that moment, the wounds were unbearable as the voice of my tormentors echoed in my mind, taunting me completely. The memories of my 18th birthday party, which should have been a joyful celebration, had become a haunting nightmare that had left deep scars on my heart. As I struggled to regain control, a part of me feared the power within me. The ability to command others with my voice was both a blessing and a curse. I had always been afraid of misusing this power, of becoming the very thing I despised. I imagined the sight of their ears bleeding, their faces contorted in agony as the force of my voice reached them. It was a chilling thought, one that sent shivers down my spine. I didn't want to stoop to their level, to become the monster they had made me feel like. Harold approached me and held me close, his arms wrapping around me tightly. He knew I needed comfort, and he was there for me without hesitation. Tears streamed down my face as I let out all the pain and anguish that had been bottled up inside. He whispered softly in my ear, "It's okay, babe. I'm right here with you. You've come so far, baby. Last time, you couldn't face any of this, but now look at you. You're facing your fears head on, and for that, I'm really proud of you. Yes, you went through hell and I took part in some awful experience which makes me extremely guilty, but you're stronger now and that's what matters." Although I'll never stop apologizing for being a dickhead, I desperately wanted to believe that everything we had was real, that our love was genuine and pure. The mere thought of discovering that I had been used, that it was all a charade, sent shivers down my spine. The fear of losing him, the person who had made me feel something deeply after I was broken. I would go to great lengths for him, even sacrifice my own life if necessary, to prove the depth of my love. As the seconds went by, doubts crept in, and I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something was amiss. It felt like Harold was hiding something from me, keeping secrets locked away in his heart. I felt so unsure and anxious, like my insides were tied up in knots. Was I just a pawn in a game I didn't get? Had he been toying with my emotions this whole time? These thoughts haunted me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been lied to. After all, my own abilities would never fail me, but the pain in my soul was unbearable, and I couldn't handle the chaos inside me anymore. Overwhelmed by the emotions I felt inside of him and haunted by my past, I blacked out again, losing consciousness. The room was dark and quiet, and I could feel the sweat on my brow as I tried to collect my thoughts. My head was spinning with questions and doubts, and I struggled to keep my panic in check. I had to think clearly, but my mind kept racing in a million different directions. I lay there still in confusion and distress as I was alone. The only sound was the rapid beating of my heart. "Calm down, Alexia," I whispered to myself. "You have to stay calm and think clearly." I took a deep breath and tried to clear my head, to focus on the task at hand. I couldn't afford to lose my cool now. I forced myself to take another deep breath and to think about the plan. I tried to remember every detail before I blacked out, every step I had to take to this point. Immediately, the memories came flashing in my head. I smacked my forehead and winced in pain and frustration because we were almost close, but I just had to ruin it with my silly emotions. As I took stock of my surroundings, I realized that something was off. Harold was nowhere to be seen. I started to worry that the plan had failed, and that I was alone and at the mercy of my captors. I knew that sometimes Harold was heartless, but I wondered if he had already abandoned me to my fate. Maybe he had gotten what he wanted and had no more use for me. I shuddered at the thought, trying to banish the dark thoughts from my mind. My hands trembled as I sat up, and my breath came in shallow gasps. I tried to slow my breathing, to quiet my heart. I think I should call him. I made a self-suggestion and searched for my phone. Frantically tried to reach Harold by call, but his number went straight to voicemail. I wondered if he had turned off his phone, or if he had blocked my number. Either way, I was on my own, and I had to figure out a way to get out of this mess. Why does he keep doing this to me? Whenever I need him the most, he just disappears. I was sick of being treated like this, of being used and discarded. I had given my all to this relationship, and this was how I was constantly repaid? I felt so betrayed, so hurt. But then, I reminded myself that I was stronger than this. I had survived worse, and I would survive this too. I would find a way out of this, and I would be okay. I had to be. I worried thoughts turned to my wolf, and I tried to reach out to her. Blair, you haven't said a word since. I was met with silence. It was as if she had abandoned me too, as if I was truly alone in this. I felt a knot in my stomach, a sickening feeling of fear and loneliness. I had never been so isolated, especially from the ones that I loved and cared about. I started to panic, my breaths coming in short, shallow gasps. It seemed like I was drowning in a pool of darkness, and I was terrified. I didn't know what to do, where to turn. Please, don't tell me you're gone too. Say something. Anything. I must have drained our powers, and I'm sorry I got caught up in the mix of my past hurt. I rendered an apology, hoping that it would revive her, but still nothing. In my desperation, I reached out again, trying to reconnect with Blair. Blair, I need you, I whispered, my voice breaking. Please don't abandon me. You're the only one I have left. I waited, holding my breath, and then I finally gave up, choosing to leave the room, hoping that a walk would clear my head and I might bump into Harold for a confrontation. As I made my way to the door, I saw two figures in the distance. It was Nathan and Tristan, and they seemed to be arguing. I paused, unsure of what to do. I didn't want to intrude, but I also didn't want to leave them alone to fight. I decided to take a step closer, hoping to hear what they were saying. As I approached, I could hear their voices growing louder by the second, which disturbed me. Just as I was about to inquire the reason for their quarrel, Harold showed up with an unreadable expression. In an instant, I tried to ask him what had happened, but he ignored my questions as if I had suddenly turned into a ghost. I couldn't understand why everyone was behaving so oddly. Harold was avoiding me, and everyone else seemed to be acting strange. I was literally going crazy, like I was trapped in some kind of twisted nightmare. I couldn't tell what was real and what was imagined. The more I tried to make sense of it all, the more confused and overwhelmed I became. Harold, please talk to me. I need to know what's going on, I pleaded. Still, he paid no attention to me, and I broke out. Harold, look at me, damn it. Pull me out of this darkness that you have brought me into. What happened? I cried out. I watched helplessly as Harold walked away, his footsteps echoing in the empty hallway. I was so sure he had been the one behind it all, but he denied any involvement. Was I just imagining it all? Had I been delusional this whole time? I had to know the truth, so I chased after him, but he had already disappeared down the hallway. The more I ran, the more my anxiety grew. I needed to find him, to make him tell me everything. I followed the scent of his cologne, hoping to find him before it was too late. As I approached the elevator, the doors started to close, and I knew I had to act fast. Without a second thought, I jumped through the doors, landing inside the elevator just as they closed behind me. "What are you doing?" he asked, his eyes wide. I stood there, out of breath and trembling. I didn't know what to say. All I could do was stare at him, searching his face for answers. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it might be. "Please, just tell me the truth," I begged. "Did you take those pictures? Did you set me up?" But Harold just looked at me, his face impassive. "No," he said, his voice flat. "I couldn't do anything." But his words rang hollow, and my doubts only grew. "I don't believe you," I said, my voice shaking. "Why should I? You've lied to me before, haven't you?" "I've never lied to you," he said, but his eyes betrayed his words. There was something there, something he wasn't telling me. "I don't know why you would ever think of that. I mean, why would I even lie? I'm an adult. It's not like you're going to beat me if I said the truth." As Harold spoke, I tried to convince myself that he was telling the truth. But something about his demeanor, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes, made me doubt his words. I thought back to the moment before I fainted, the moment when he had held me in his arms. I remembered the emotions he had conveyed earlier, the emotions that now seemed to contradict his story. It was then that I realized he was lying to me, that he was using me for his own ends.